Okay, cool. Let me see. I'll share my screen. Okay, you guys can see it, right?
Mhm.
All right, so today I'm going to be talking about how minors should be allowed to receive birth control without parental consent. So it's actually estimated that globally around 13 million infants are from adolescents. And this was according to Sharma, Guarm, and Genahath in the comparison of outcome teenage pregnancy with non-teenage pregnancy in 2020. So when people think of the word adolescence, they think of a child. So how is it that they could become a mother but can't go out and get birth control on their own? So for this reason, minors should be allowed to receive birth control without their parents' consent, not only to decrease the percentage of teenage pregnancy, but to make them feel like they have some control over their bodies. If you were a teen and sexually active, would you be as willing to go out and get birth control if your parent had to be there? Probably not. So in this speech, I'm going to be talking about why teens should be allowed to get birth control without parental consent, how parental consent on birth control affects birth rates, as well as how it affects abortion rates. So on the screen, you're going to see a chart that was published in 2015 in the Supreme Court Compendium, and it actually shows how many people voted to support birth control for minors. So there hasn't been much change since 1986. Everything stayed around the 50 percentile, where half of them supported and the other half didn't, other than in 1991, where it was 60%, everything stayed around the same. And although there's different reasons as to why a lot of people feel like minors shouldn't get birth control, it's normally because of societal influence that they don't agree with it. So in her book, Adolescence, Pregnancy and Abortion, Constructing a Threat of Degeneration, Catriona Maslow states that society sees these minors as a threat because of their careless and risk-taking behavior. And they think that they're having sex and most likely not taking contraceptives. And they normally, if they do get pregnant from it, they require more care during their pregnancy or before and during the termination of the pregnancy. So the reason she put that in her book is practically to show that minors are seen and told what they shouldn't do based on generalizations and assumptions that they're completely incompetent, instead of focusing on what they're actually capable of and offering resources to them and seeing that they actually need help, not have things taken away from them. So why shouldn't minors need parental consent for birth control? So it's pretty simple. Being a minor doesn't mean that they're not women. And if they're able to have sex and have children like adults, they should be allowed the same resources that involve that as well. And with society making minors already feel like they're children and looking down on them for being sexually active and getting pregnant, requiring parental control only worsens the matter. So one of the ways they do this by influencing the increase in teenage pregnancy. So we all know that Planned Parenthood is one of the most popular clinics or resources that women use, whether they're 15 years old or 25 years old. And in 2013, David Patton and Sarfo Girma conducted a survey that discovered that 59% of the minors put in their surveys that they would stop taking any form of contraceptive if the parental consent was required. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a bit. So this was then proven when the attendance rates at state-funded clinics and non-state funded clinics were compared. So they measured the attendance of teens as well as older women and concluded that total clinic attendance by teens went down after parental consent, and that the decrease was dominated by the clinics that were directly affected by parental consent. For example, if it was a state-funded clinic, the clinics that had state laws that weren't letting them do it on their own were mainly affected. So many would probably argue that decrease in attendance is probably a positive thing, due to the fact that it may mean that once parental laws were set in place, that the minors were becoming less sexually active and therefore they didn't need to go to the clinics or go for contraceptives. Or there could have been other factors that contributed to the decrease, such as the changes to the number of clinics between the time frame that they studied it and the shifts in numbers from different ethnic or racial groups. So practically they thought that the geography was the reason that these things were declining. However, after they considered these variables and reconducted the study by looking at the number of clinics and the racial ethnic mix, the attendance has still declined by 6.01 after the imposition of parental consent. And the estimated decrease for the older woman was very much smaller and statistically non-significant. So it proved that even though they try to consider all of the factors and compare the older woman to the young woman, it was only when parental consent was involved that these numbers are decreasing. So in addition to teenage pregnancy, parental laws increase the rate of teenage abortions. So I'm gonna go on. And although percentages differ according to state, some states reported that 50% of pregnant teens receive an abortion. So not only is this a costly procedure, but it's also emotionally and physically painful, and it actually really affects a teen's health. So a common state regulation is in parental involvement, which are known as PI laws, and these require that an abortion provider notify the parent of a minor's request for an abortion, or that the parent provides a written consent before a procedure is taking place. Currently, there's 37 states that have PI laws, and the widespread geographic coverage of the PI laws make it more difficult for teens to avoid compliance by traveling to another state. So although many people believe that when it comes to abortion, parental consent is needed in order to educate their children about the consequence of pregnancy and abortion, which I do agree with, they still fail to realize that if the pregnancy is unwanted, these teens are going to still find a way to terminate them to avoid them having to be such young mothers or not be with their friends, not go to college, or practically sometimes they see it as if they have this baby, they're gonna like ruin their lives. For example, Myers and Ladd in 2017 reported that the average distance that a teenager was willing to drive to avoid a PI law increased from 55 miles to 454 miles in 2017, which meant that these teens were willing to travel across states just to be able to have an abortion. And as more states continue to implement them, teens begin to take unsafe measures, such as drinking toxic fluids, inflicting direct injury inside of them, or performing abortions in unhygienic places or by unskilled people. All of which could possibly be avoided if they are able to receive birth control without the pressure of their parents with them, and probably not have gotten pregnant in the first place. So in conclusion, as much as teenagers are allowed to become mothers and create life on their own, they should also be allowed to seek help and take birth control if needed. Instead of being shamed on for being sexually active, they should be praised on for actually trying to practice safer sex. So before I go into my call of action, I just want to show you guys the risk that could take place if these children did get pregnant because of lack of birth control. So their education is interrupted, so they can't go to college, they can't finish school. Not saying that it's completely impossible, but it makes it very much difficult for them. There's always health risks involved because a lot of them haven't gone through puberty, their bodies haven't developed fully. So their body won't be able to carry a child as easily as a older woman would. For these reasons, they also have higher chances of mortality. So they're more at risk of dying, and it not only puts them at risk, it puts the babies at risk. So they could have premature birth, or they could have stillbirths, which means that the baby is born, but he's unfortunately not alive. So if you did want to learn more or help others, if you have a younger sister or even like a neighbor that you know is struggling with having to receive birth control or has to deal with their parents not allowing them to actually go and get it on their own, you could go on this website, and it's called Free the Pale Youth Council. It allows you to sign a petition to allow birth control to be easier to access for minors. Or you could simply go on here if you're looking for birth control options, you want to learn more about birth control, or you simply just want to send someone that you know needs these resources. Thank you. Okay.
You spoke clearly and confidently.
Good job.
For round two, thank you. All right, Karima.
Okay. Okay. Through the years, women have always had to fight for their rights. One of the biggest topics I heard growing up was abortion, the fight for women to decide what they believe is best for them and their bodies. Today, I hope to persuade you to agree that women should have control over their own choices by giving a brief history of the fight of abortion, the actions that some women take when their choice of abortion is taken away, and the reasons why some women choose abortion. This is Anthony Comstock, died in 2013, paragraph 15. It was not until 1965 the last Comstock laws left standing in the United States were ruled unconstitutional. The Comstock Law was a law that restricted the use of contraceptive methods, and it was against the law to use birth control or to pass along birth control to women. Birth control and the talk of birth control were foul and indecent. In 1965, there was a court case, Griswold versus Connecticut, where it was finally decided that women could have access to birth control, only if you were married. So if you were in a relationship but not married, you could not have access to birth control. In 1972, there was another court case, Eisenstadt versus Baird, where women who were unmarried now finally had access to contraceptives like those who were married. In 1973, the Supreme Court ruled in Roe versus Wade, giving women the access to their choice of abortion. As of September 1st, the US Supreme Court has failed to intervene and block Texas' 6-week abortion ban. As a result, the law has gone into effect and the vast majority of abortions in Texas are currently prohibited. Nash 2021, paragraph 2. Recently, there has been an important change. In Texas, there was a law passed that stopped abortion at 6 weeks, which is before many women know that they are pregnant. Also, anyone that aided in the abortion, from doctors, nurses, or if they use a driving service like Lyft and Uber, can now be sued. At 6 weeks, many women don't know that they are pregnant, so they are not giving their personal right to go and make that decision for themselves. It's a right that's being dictated to by someone else over their own body. I've just given you a brief description of the fight of abortion, and I now will discuss what happens when a safe choice is taken away. Some 68,000 women die of unsafe abortions annually, making it one of the leading causes of maternal mortality, 13%. Of the women who survive unsafe abortions, 5 million will suffer long-term health complications. Haddad and Noor, 2009, paragraph 1. When options are taken away, people find other ways to get what they need or what they need to be done. When women don't have access to a safe place to get abortion, they seek other ways, resulting in an unsafe abortion. Based on data from 2010 through 2014, approximately 45% of all abortions worldwide were unsafe. WHO, paragraph 7, 2020. Women, especially those in low-income areas or countries, are most likely to have an unsafe abortion when they don't have access to a safe clinic. The major life-threatening complications resulting from the least safe abortions are hemorrhage, infection, and injury to the genital tract and internal organs. WHO 2020, paragraph 14. Women can have incomplete abortions. That's when the person during the abortion does not remove all the fetal tissue from the uterus, or uterine perforation, and which is when the uterus is pierced by a sharp object. Damage to the genital tract and genital organs by needles, broken glass, etc. are being inserted. These infections will have to be treated by medicine. Injuries in the genital tract has to be treated by a healthcare professional, and hemorrhages, if untreated in a timely manner, can be fatal. There are opposing views to the of having access to abortion. Those who are against having the choice are called pro-life. One reason is that pro-life believe abortion can have effect on the woman's health. Researchers found that women were about 14 times more likely to die during or after giving birth to a live baby than to die from complications of an abortion. Pittman, 2012, paragraph 2. Also, those who are denied abortions have more issues with mental health. Women who are denied abortions have a higher risk for mental health problems, soon afterward compared to women who are allowed to go through the process, a new study suggests. Another opposing view is when you become pregnant, it is your responsibility to bring that child into the world. To me, that is unfair and not all circumstances are being considered. I'm called a murderer, a sinner, and worse. Advocates of Youth, 2019, paragraph 1. Sabrina and a mother of a 4-year-old soon found out she was pregnant. After finding out she was pregnant, she found out her baby was dying inside of her from a syndrome called mirror syndrome. This condition would also cause damage to her organs as well. They made the decision to terminate this pregnancy, but is still met with a lot of backlash from pro-life because she is seen as a murderer. This is another example of why I think abortion should be an option for women to choose if that's their choice they want to make with their bodies. She should be able to make that choice for herself and not be met with backlash from others because they don't believe in her choice. Fatima was also 12 when she became pregnant after being raped by a man in her community in Guatemala. Abortion is only legal in Guatemala to save a woman or girl's life. Though the pregnancy was risky because of Fatima's young age, health providers never offered her a legal abortion, and she carried the pregnancy to term. Worth, 2009, paragraph 2. 2 other girls, Lucia and Susanna, became pregnant from rape at age 13. Lucia's pregnancy happened after more than a year of abuse by her priest. For Susanna, years of abuse by her grandfather led to an unwanted pregnancy. They are from Nicaragua, where abortion is banned completely. They too gave birth. Worth, 2009, paragraph 3. In many countries, girls are not given much information about sex, and if it is, it's very minimal. It is something that's not discussed, so they're not given the talk that sex can lead to pregnancy. It's hard to believe, but it is true. We find out through talks with our parents, through movies, TVs, or books that we read. Some girls don't have access to that, so they don't know that condoms or other contraceptives that they can use to help prevent pregnancy. Is it their fault that they are denied information and end up in a situation that they didn't have protection from, and they're not given the choice to figure out what's best for them and their bodies? Additionally, Ecuador, Guatemala, and Nicaragua are among many countries in the region that heavily restrict access to abortion or ban it entirely, which is devastating for rape survivors. Worth, 2009, paragraph 6. Sexual violence is very common, leaving many young girls under the age of 14 pregnant. In these countries, they don't have the choice of abortion, so they are forced to go through an unwanted pregnancy with, in some cases, health concerns because they are so young. I hope from my explanation of abortion, the health concerns that can happen when a safe place is taken away, and the reasons why women should make the decisions for herself opened your minds. If you don't like abortion, fine, don't do it, but the right should not be taken away from everyone. Thank you.
Well done.
Job.
It's good.
Yeah, myself. Okay. Okay. So for today, hi, my name is Ariana, and my topic is a stricter application or process into owning or adopting a pet dog. Animals are a part of life, especially dogs. Everyone knows the unconditional love a dog gives. In many parts of the world, pets are highly prevalent. Dog ownership is reported in over 49% of U.S. households. The amount of care and love that goes into owning a dog is underestimated. I'm here to persuade you, to tell you, for you to get to really know what goes into owning a dog. For those who are seeking to own a dog, to really go under a review process that will benefit the dog and the future owner. In order to prevent Christmas puppies being returned and neglected, I will be informing you about what the actual care of a dog needs, deserves, and as well as that a dog is more than just a property or an object, that it's actually a family member and truly is a living human being as well. A pet animal A pet animal, a dog specifically, is a lot of responsibility, and their needs need to be held accountable. A lot of new pet owners are not being held accountable, and they are not treating and caring for their pets as they should be. And I'm just going to put a little picture up here. This is a little dog, just wants to be adopted, the little love me, to get you to know that these are just people that want love. You may not call them people, but I call them people. Where did I leave off? People will say that a dog is not a person, that it's just a dog and they can just be outdoors, that they don't need as much as love and attention as you would say give to a baby. And then I say a dog is more than just a pet. A dog will be there for you, no questions asked. If you care, if you give it the care that it deserves, it will show it back to you. It's a creature that deserves the care and attention that you would give to a baby. Spending time with your dog is important for them to grow a bond with you and give you that unconditional love. Dogs look cute in pictures and in public with others, but if you ask those dog owners how much time and devotion they give to their pet, it would shock you. New dog owners need to be held accountable. They are not an object that can just be returned or given away and posted to social media as soon as the dog displays the characteristics that they're not used to. The pain and the feelings that human feels when they're not wanted or not loved is that same feeling that this defenseless dog feels when you mistreat them or just don't give them the time or the need. And new pet owners are not understanding that. They simply are just thinking a dog is a dog, we can place them outside, but that's not the case. And that's why these dogs are becoming aggressive or lashing out at their owners, because they are not getting that time and love. And when it comes towards them displaying some sort of love towards them, they're not used to it. There needs to be an action to take these owners that are rehoming a dog or puppy only after a couple of months. This is neglect, and this is an irresponsible owner that needs to be held accountable to get themselves educated and as well as put into the system where they know these are not responsible owners and dogs should not be placed in their care due to their foreshadowing events. And I believe there should be a camp and a training for new dog owners that are just simply thinking about adopting a pet. So this way it stops the need to return them, and this way they are getting the education, the research that needs to be done, and the scheduling that needs to be displayed to spend time with the new coming family member. There's an importance that there is training that goes involved with the dog as well, and that's what a lot of people are not understanding, that they see this creature, they see it, and it's locked behind, and they want to adopt the poor little guy, but then they don't have enough time to give the guy or take the need to train it. And this is why over 46% of animals adopted end up being returned due to characteristic behaviors, and that being because the owner did not take the time to really get to know the pups. They're just going into shelters and picking and choosing without actually sitting down or taking the initiative classes. There is a shelter in San Antonio, Texas, that offers a variety of classes for new owners. And I believe these should be mandatory. They are just given if whoever wants to take them, but these are mandatory. I believe that should be mandatory classes that new pet owners should have under their belt and have a title, know that they actually have done the research, know what responsibilities are needed for this creature, to know what vaccines they need, the checkups, the bathing, their teething, everything, and even their temperamentals or traits. Every dog is different, not just by breed, but by characteristics. And a lot of new pet owners are not seeing this. They just see a dog, and then that goes into there's different breeds and having to be active. Some dogs are really, really active and need to be taken out on a daily basis, sometimes even 3 to 4 times a day. They need a yard. These cannot be apartment dogs. And I feel like dogs are being used more for culture and aesthetics than actually for the right reasons. So the research, for example, how herding dogs, they need to be super active, as well as if some people love huskies, and huskies are very temperamental dogs. Those dogs are very vocal dogs, and if they don't like something, they will express it. And some people don't like vocal dogs. So if you're not into a vocal dog, but you aesthetically like the way a husky looks, maybe this is not the right option for you. A lot of pet owners are just going into something just for the wrong reasons. In the US, the number of companion animals returned to the animal shelter within the first 6 months of adoption is estimated anywhere from 7% to 20%. The post-adoption programs are not being utilized. There is the post-adoption programs where they are encouraged to go to these classes. There is free training classes. There is affordable health care for dogs, but there's people, the new pet owners are not taking upon the time to actually do the research. They kind of just read whatever comes up first is what they go to, and medical bills can be very expensive, but there is low cost veterinarian care in different organizations. There is a behavior support team, and there is free wellness checkups as long as the correct research is done. All local shelters, if you call and do the right research, they are there to help you. We are trying to decrease the amount of animals being returned, because after an animal is returned for a behavioral issue, that being aggressive towards humans, aggressive towards other animals, or simply sometimes the dog is just hyperly active and likes to dig, those kind of stigmas can stick along to the dog and lead them to not being adopted, all for the neglect of the owner for not taking the time to actually get to know what kind of dog and what the temperament, what characteristics the dog they were adopting, leading the dog to get euthanized. So I think that with these programs all involved, it just, a lot of owners are not being self-aware. They're very irresponsible. They're not being held accountable. This is a before and after. If the time is taken into actually loving and caring for your animal that you are adopting, they can go and do so much and be such a great companion, and they will go to the ends of the earth for you. And some dog owners are just simply there for the appearance, and they don't take the time for the importance of the health. One breed being the bulldogs and all of those scrunched up face. It's all for the appearance, and they don't go into consideration that those dogs are very, very high with medical bills. They have lots of bacterial problems, lots of breathing problems. And then what happens is they end up going on these high medical bills. A lot of the rescue teams have to step in. There is rescue roofs for bulldogs that a lot bulldogs are being misbred because people just simply want the aesthetics of a dog, and they're not taking the time to actually know what goes into even breeding, not even adoption, but just breeding an animal. So I hope I've opened your eyes and for you guys to stand up. But anytime you hear maybe a coworker, maybe a friend, that they say that they want to get a dog, to really and truly sit down and tell them, hey, this goes into having a dog. You have to remember they're on a schedule. You don't want it to be inside the house. You have to train it to be outside, potty trained. They have flea medicine. They have vaccines, just like us humans. They go into a lot of responsibility. And I feel that there is education programs, but I feel that they need to be mandatory, not just willy-nilly given in there as an opportunity, but they need to be mandated, especially for new coming owners that want to participate in having this amazing friend forever in their life. So we can stop posts like these that we see throughout social media. This is unfortunately a puppy that came to the 6-month rule, the 6-month stigma. After 6 months, this owner could not handle the puppy and being temperamental. They just didn't do the right research. They didn't realize how much responsibility a dog was.
Ariana,
This is stuff.
we can't see your screen.
What happened? Oh, I I didn't click the button. How about now? You guys couldn't see my screen the whole time? How embarrassing. Okay. Well, these were the pictures. Let me get it on there. So these are my presentation visually. And as I was saying, this poor little guy locked behind looks so cute, easily wanted to be adopted, but people don't go into considering what goes into the time and investing in adopting. This is a before and after of a beautiful relationship that sparked. And this is what we're trying to prevent. These return posts, these people going around getting puppies and then wanting to return them. And this is where we get to the euthanation process, and which is what we don't want. And what we can do, we need to set up more boundaries, guidelines. If an animal is returned or relinquished for some reason related to injury, old age, or behavior issues, threatening safety, we need to address the issue so we can help the pet retention and display a positive role in the community. There is shelters and sanctuaries that do offer this help and do recommend that if you do adopt from their shelter and if the dog starts to experience behavioral issues, that you can return the dog, but not return, you can take the dog back and they will help you with classes to go ahead and get the dog to be able to get on that level with you. And there is multiple call to actions. This is your pet with your best friend, you're working to save lives, the cats, the dogs all across America to give pets a second chance. There is sanctuaries all within your local districts where you can donate and give for pets to have that second chance to help finance these classes that are given out for free, all the behavior and obedience classes. And that is my speech. How do I stop sharing? Did I stop?
Yes.
Okay, that was it. Woo.
Great job. That's why I don't have a pet.
It's a very emotional. I get very passionate about this. It gets like it boils my blood when I see an animal being mistreated.
Oh, well, great speech.
Thank you.
Hey guys, how did I share my screen?
There should be a button at the bottom in green that says share screen.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna be talking about giving babies up for adoption. There's many ways to give your child a better life. Adoption now it's so easy. Well, like it is actually pretty easy, but it has like a lot of requirements to be done. We have many organizations that now help either parents, well, people who is not ready to be parents and people who want to be parents but they can. So there is many organizations around the world to help both parties in this process. What? Adoption is not being selfish as a parent. We have to take in consideration how hard it's just been thinking about like what is gonna happen with my baby. Actually, I think like personally, I think it's really brave to give your baby for adoption because you're, well, I don't know, I don't have kids, but like just making that decision, like, and thinking like, is this the right decision or is not? My call to action is from this website, which is an organization that they basically get donations for either helping people who cannot like pay for a lot. How do you call that? Yeah, when you go to the fertility clinic, or I think that's the name. I can't remember. Um, oh my God, I did it. Well, I cannot find it. The thing that I just had. But yeah, basically it's the same. I think it's where it was this part in South Carolina, I think, where like you have to like live with a baby for like up to 6 months to make it like a thing, like to be to be able to adopt the kids. You have to live with them. You have to live with them for 6 months before they can consider approve you for adoption, which I don't think it's a good idea. And it's like, how are you gonna be with a baby for 6 months and then like somebody's gonna tell you like, no, you're not approved and take the baby away? I don't think it's healthy for the baby or for the people who want to keep the kid. I think it is emotionally unhealthy. Um, that's all that I have because I don't know what happened with my other PowerPoint. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna have to stop. Sorry.
Jonathan, do you want me to go and then you go after me?
Yeah, please.
Okay. All right, cool. By the way, I like your subject. My sister couldn't have babies, two of my sisters, so it's a really hard process. All right, guys. Let's see. I can screen share, right? All right.
Yeah, don't do it like me.
Sorry, let's see. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So Gandhi said, if we could change ourselves, the tendencies in the world would also change. Today, I'm going to convince you that just 1 hour a week or 4 hours a month could affect our community, our city, our state, and our nation, and the overall well-being of each community. According to the independentsector.org, the estimated national value of a volunteer hour is $28.54. San Diego demographics from 2020 estimated that the 8th most populated city in the US has roughly 69% of its population in the age group ranging between 20 and 60 years old. Being a realist, we do need to consider the opposition of volunteering. So the oppositions I found for volunteering would be, you might be afraid that you would have a frivolous lawsuit, and that always makes for good headlines. And should something go awry, how likely would it be that you would actually be in the middle of a lawsuit? Although it does happen occasionally, the Volunteer Protection Act of 1997 helps to protect volunteers. You should check with any organization of your choice to make sure they are protected, and that if you volunteer with them, you are protected. Another con to volunteering could be the logistics. So your time spent driving, public transit, or walking to and from an organization. The cost of both your time and your money. Also, the emotional toll of volunteering. Not all people are comfortable with strangers or animals they do not know. Some people have possible burnout from seeing negative images and being involved so closely with heart issues or mental health issues if you don't have a background with that field. Also, the risk of attachment to a person or bringing that into your personal life could take a toll on both your family and your own personal well-being. That's the reason my husband doesn't like me to volunteer. But all things considered, it's still more beneficial to volunteer in my eyes. I'm both an empath and an optimist, and I know that we have it in us to live a greater life in this world. So what if we all put down social media or news for just 1 hour a week and join together to create a better society? The maths of it, if we just took 69% of the demographics, so 2,303,447-ish, and we take just half of those people and we multiply them by $28.54 for the independentsector.org, we would contribute $870,198 collective dollars per hour. That multiplied by 4 per community, per city, per state, and per nation would change all the negative aspects of society. Well, many of the negative aspects. If we were to look at this from just a logistics perspective, the financial implications would be magnificent in helping bring down the GDP of our nation. The physical and mental benefits of volunteering outweigh the negative. A Harvard Women's Health Watch conducted a study in 2013 showing the correlation between volunteer work and health benefits linked to it. The article claims that studies have proven that volunteering make people feel more socially connected. Some studies have proven that physical benefits range from lowering blood pressure to warding off strokes. 1 hour of volunteering instead of binge watching will definitely benefit our overall health. Many studies show that activity beats couch potatoes most days. Of course, we all still need a pajama day and to binge occasionally. And I'm not advocating ditching your favorite reality completely. But if a Carnegie Mellon University study suggests I should volunteer to live a longer lifespan, I will definitely consider it. Then there's the mental benefits. That same study with Carnegie Mellon University states that many people find volunteering work to be helpful with respect to stress reduction, and we know that stress is very strongly linked to health outcomes. My son was a volunteer in Belize at a company called Blue Ventures. It's an organization that helps rid the area of invasive lionfish that kill the ecosystem of the Caribbean. The volunteers teach the local community how to capture these fish, use them for proteins, and then how to make the ecosystem much friendlier. When he returned back from that trip, his baseball coach ran up to me and stopped me saying, "Griffin left Dubai a boy and returned a man." If every person would volunteer, we would all learn a little bit more about ourselves and about other people and other communities. Some great volunteer programs in San Diego are speakupnow.org. It's a court-appointed advocate for kids, which I have volunteered for before. cleansd.org to help clean up graffiti. sdrescue.org, which helps homeless people, elderhelpofsandiego.org, so you can help elderly people in need, elizabethhospice.org to help people that are in their final stages of life. Let's see, sorry, just one second. In my conclusion today, I covered reasons why you should and how to volunteer. Volunteering has enriched my life tremendously, from advocating for children to holding the hand of someone who is taking their last breath. The lessons learned in life from volunteering are more rewarding than any experience. They are more humbling and more eye-opening than any book or show. I'm truly blessed to have walked a mile in other people's shoes. Make sure that you research and discuss future volunteering with your friends and family. You could get a helping hand or motivate others for your cause. And the Greek philosopher Aristotle once said, "To serve others and do good is the essence of life." One second. One more. Ta-da!
Good job. You very persuaded me to go and volunteer. So good job.
Thank you.
Well, the only thing that I wanted to say was like the process of an adoption. So first you have to choose the adoption that you want, which goes from the newborns to teenagers. And about the prices, like just to have like trying to adopt a baby, it goes from between $30,000 to $45,000, plus the application fee, which I didn't found how much it is. The third step is identify an adoption professional to work with, like a social worker, and what they look for is how many families have you helped successfully to adopt, what adoption service do you offer to a birth mothers, what is a reclaim rate, and what's the adoption process, either your foster parent or like a legal parent. Step 4, complete your adoption home study and adoption agency requirement steps, which each agency has different steps. And like when you adopt a puppy, like you have to spend time with the child before and see if it is a connection between like you and the kid. And the last step is bring the child home. But the thing is, like a lot of process, like the neighbor is giving his baby her baby up for adoption, and she said that it's like really hard because people just like judge you because like you don't want to take care, you're not responsible. But what she said that it's a huge decision, and it's not easy. So we should just make conscience about that. Pretty much that's what I want. I couldn't find my documents, but thank you.
All right, good job.
Good job.
Well done.
All right, do you just want to go in the same order and just give like what feedback we had for everyone?
Sure.
All right, so for Karima, I really liked your topic, and I thought it just like was cool how like mine was about, teenage women and their rights, and then yours went straight into, abortion and women's rights. I thought that was like, like real woman power. But it was very knowledgeable. It was structured really well. I like that you didn't have your PowerPoint up the whole time, and it wasn't like a lot of stuff on there, like you were just referencing it but not relying on it. Um, and I think it was just, I think it was really good. Um, Feedback, I don't really have any feedback for you. Maybe just like not read off too much, but I don't think you did that much either. But I'm saying if I did have feedback, that'd probably be like the very small minor thing, but you did
Okay.
great overall.
Thank you.
Ariana, I liked your topic a lot. I feel like, you said you love dogs. I could tell how passionate you were about them. And I feel like for yours, I think it was really persuasive because you use a lot of like emotional appeal. Like you're saying things like the pictures and the Facebook posts, like that was just like, for me at least, it was like really sad. And like that is what normally gets people to be like, okay, I need to change this or I need to do something about it. So I think it was really effective in that way. Um, Only note is I feel like you started off and you could see that you're really nervous, but like as you went on, you could start seeing that like
Yeah.
once you were talking, you started getting more and more confident over it.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
embarrassing. I wasn't even screen showing. I thought I was all confident.
no, you're good. You did good. For Angelia, I think you had a really good opening statement and a really good closing statement. Like I feel like they were both really impactful and like it started and ended off your presentation really well. You used a lot of great resources, and I like that you used a lot of personal experiences to connect it with yourself. And the only thing maybe I would suggest is just, I don't really think I don't have anything. I mean, maybe like just use the PowerPoint a bit more. I don't know how much points we get for that. So maybe just that. But like I said, it was really good. Jonathan, I think you could tell that you were passionate about the topic, like you cared about it. And I feel like you're really big on like trying to connect it to yourself and like people that you know, like you said that your neighbor was going through this. So I feel like that connects to people a lot. I would say just be more confident. I feel like you know what you're talking about and like you're passionate about it. Just like be confident in yourself, But other than that, that's all I have, guys.
Okay. So Diana, I said that I loved your topic again because it was about rights for girls and women. And then I said, I think you had good information and good statistics and it was very organized. I don't really have much feedback. I think you did really good. And then Ariana, I liked how you used the examples of the dogs and their characteristics and how it's more on us that we need to learn how to be with the dog and not just taking it back to the shelter. Because I also see a lot on social media where people are complaining about their dogs and trying to give it off to someone else instead of taking it to like a shelter and getting classes to help train them. So I think it was very good to use those examples in your speech. I wanted to tell you ahead of time that the pictures weren't going, but I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh,
But-
embarrassing. It's okay.
Very good though. And then Jonathan, I liked your topic. My brother recently got married and he adopted his wife's kids. So, and I've had some aunts who have done fostering. They haven't adopted, but they did foster care. So your topic hits home for me. So I really enjoyed it. And I agree, just be a little bit more confident because I can tell you have the information there. Just be more confident when you're saying it in your speech. And then Angelia, like I said, your topic made me want to go out to volunteer. And with this being a persuasive speech, I think you did a very good job.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
My turn. Well, I feel like Diana's, Karima, and Jonathan, both of you guys like hit like points. There's just like girl power, like yes, like and especially just with even like adoption, abortion, birth control, like all of those are actually like topics that should be trending at all times and should be spoken about. And you guys just highlighted that like perfectly, like with Diana, with, yeah, it's like adolescent, like what is an adolescent? Like as you mentioned your first time around, I noticed when you gave your first time and your second time, when you used about some girls are 12 years old and have a kid, and there is different areas where they do grow up differently and they do have to grow up quicker just because of their environment. So that was, I really like that example you gave. And for Karima, I mean, you just come out here, I feel like you're just like a library. You just tell us all this information, and it's like interesting too. You're just like, oh shoot, like I didn't, like you're right, like you just like the way you convey and tell us stuff, like I love it. It was great.
Thank you.
Jonathan, even like just the same thing, like just be confident, like you have the information there, and I feel like your topics have been like very moving to you, and you're passionate about them, so just like express it because you have it and it's there. And yeah, adoption is a big thing. Fostering adoption, like this, we need more people like that. And we don't need the hate or the bash, because if you're giving up someone for, it's not so much selflessly, some people, they struggle too. So I think it's a great topic. And for Angelia, same thing. Volunteering, I'm with that as well. I think we need to volunteer more. And yeah, just the way you conveyed your expressions, just like your bubbly personality, it just seemed like, yeah, you know what, let's go volunteer. Like, I don't need my TV right now. It was great. I really enjoyed listening to all your guys' speeches.
Thanks. Jonathan, you want to go or do you want me to go? Okay. Diana, I really liked your speech. I liked that you, like she was saying earlier, talked about adolescence, and I think a lot of light doesn't get shed on that subject. There's a divide in our country for all the topics you guys talked about. Don't use the garage door. Okay. I'm talking. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I think your speech was really good, and it brought a lot of attention to some parts of the country, especially like the Appalachian Trail, where a lot of people would be young and have those issues to deal with. And yeah, it was a really good informative speech. So thank you for shedding light. Hopefully, it's too bad that everybody can't see our speeches. And Karima, I think that your subject is really good as well. I think it's a hard one. It's very controversial. I'm not really good about controversial. I'm not good at arguing points for controversy. So well done you for taking on something such a big, hard topic. Maybe you should be a lawyer.
Like I said, it's just a library.
Yeah. And you did great. Yeah, your resources were great. So well done with yours.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, and Ariana, I loved your speech. I think that it's really sad. We don't have a pet because we live overseas, and it wouldn't be fair to come home for 2 months and not have a pet. And I think it really, whenever people say, I bought my kid this new puppy for Christmas, I'm like, ugh. And then 3 months later, you can hear the person saying, oh, it's driving me nuts, and I'm thinking about getting rid of it. And it's so sad because people don't treat animals. They don't understand that it's a really big deal. One of my friends does volunteer for pit bulls here in San Diego, and they're so, especially pit bulls, people
They're
breed
so
them.
Underestimated. They're such great dogs.
Yeah, and the stories he tells are just insane and heartbreaking. So thanks for your speech. It was beautiful. And Jonathan, I liked yours as well. I think your poor neighbor, I feel bad for her. I wish that she knew that there were 98% more people who appreciate what she does than the couple of people who make it negative, because what a brave soul someone is. To my sisters can't have babies, and for me to have babies, every time I cried because I couldn't share with them how amazing it was, because I felt so guilty that they couldn't have those same experiences. So tell your person that is your neighbor that she's very much loved by so many people who need to have babies. And I loved your speech. Thank you so much. And that's it.
Thank you. Well, all your speeches were like amazing. Like I'm embarrassed for mine, but I love the animal ones. Like right now we have 9 right here, 9 dogs. Like they're coming from everywhere around the city. And yeah, it's really sad how people how they treat them, because like most of the dogs that we have right here, they're scared like of everyone, like even for dogs. Like we don't know the trauma that they're living with other families. But definitely that thing that you mentioned, I didn't know that exists. The thing that you said that each person who adopt them needs the training. I think it's true, you know. Um, so I love your topic. It was one of my favorite ones just because it was dogs. Like when it was adoption and then dogs, it was like I want to be here. um, the abortion, I don't know why it's always a big deal here at home. Like we always talk about abortion, and it's a mess. It's like, oh, I think it's right. I don't think it's right. Things like that. But I think like it is depends on the situation to be like, okay, yeah, like I don't know if you got raped. Obviously, I think it's reasonable why you wanna abort, you know. But like if you wanna just get rid of the baby just because you don't wanna have the baby, I think it can be selfish, but it depends on the situation. But I think it's a great topic. All of you guys with the topics was amazing. Information that like it literally like my mom said, like you learn something new every day.
Mm.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
All right. And
All right.
you guys have a great night. Diana, thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you
Awesome.
guys. It was
You.
a fun
Bye, guys.
semester.
I know.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.